So this is GCSE Higher, Surds, the topic is. What we're doing today is focusing on simplifying surds. Okay, so the questions are, we have a set of surds, simplify the following surds, give your answer in the form of a square root of b, a root b. Okay, so let's get started. The first question we have here is square root of 90. So for square root of 90, if you want to simplify it, the first question you're asking yourself is which square number, the biggest square number that goes into 90. Okay, you do need to know your set of square numbers quite well. So at least know until what is 13 squared. Okay, so 2 squared, 3 squared, 4 squared, all the way up to 13 squared. Do know your square numbers. So you're looking at here what square number goes into it. You should be able to identify it. Here it's 9. So 9 times 10, that gives us 90. Okay. If you are confused and you're not sure, always write out your square numbers. So what are your square numbers? So 2 squared, 3 squared, 4 squared. And then obviously see which one of these numbers will be a factor of 90 and choose from there. Okay, so once you have done that, what we do is we separate the surds. Okay, we can split them as square root of 9 times square root of 10. One of the rules of surds is square root of a times square root of b can be written as square root of a times b. That's rule number 1 of surds. Okay, so that's the rule that we used. We used it in reverse. So 90 can be written as 9 times 10, and we can split the root and we can rewrite it as root 9 times root 10. Now, looking at this, you should be able to see that square root of a 9, that's a whole number. Okay, that's 3. And root 10, you can't simplify that anymore. Make sure that you can't. And so the final answer would be 3 root 10. Okay, that's in its simplest form. So we'll look at question 2 now. Question 2 says square root of 20. So root 20. What square number goes into 20? The biggest square number. And in here we can rewrite that as 4 times 5. What I always do, I always make sure that I write my square number first. The biggest square number that goes into 20, you always write that first. Okay, so it's always easier for you to get into that format. A, the whole number, plus the root b. So square root of 4 times square root of 5. Now, square root of 4, that's 2. Okay, and times root 5, we just put the root 5 next to it. We get rid of the multiplication sign. It's the same as what you have when we have algebra. So 2 times x, we will write it as 2x, and we'll leave it like that. Okay, the next question, question number 3, square root of 48. Again, you need to look at your square numbers and see which square number goes into 48. Okay, the biggest square number that goes into 48 is 16. And 16 times 3 gives you 48. So what we can do is we can split them. We can write it as root 16 times root 3. Okay, root 16 is 4 and root 3 is multiplying. So we can just rewrite that as 4 root 3. Okay. Again here, do make sure if you're not too sure about it, or you picked a square number, so say you picked 4 rather than 16, you still have to keep going and figure out. You need to make sure that you end up with the simplest surd here. You can't take, there can't be any more square number that you can take out of it. Okay, that has to be the simplest answer. Otherwise, what you have to do is you have to look at again what square number goes into it, and you have to kind of redo that question again. Okay, leaving your whole number out. So make sure you do pick the biggest one here. And then the next one we have is this one, question 4. Which square number? So it's 2 root 50. Question 4. So here we already have a whole number in the front. they've asked us to give it in simplest form. So until you take the square number that can come out of this root, it's still not fully simplified. Okay, you have to make sure you can take you've taken all the square numbers out of the root. So from here we can see that square root of 50, actually you can write that as 25 times 2. That gives us 50, and 25 is a square number. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to rewrite the as 2. What notation we have here is actually multiplication. So technically what we can do is we can rewrite this as 2 times root 25 times root 2. And we can rewrite that as root 25 is a whole number, so that's 2 times 5 times root 2. The final answer is 2 times 5 is 10. It's 10 root 2. That's the simplest version of that. Okay, because 25 was still inside the surd, the root, we could not have that, so we needed to take that out. So the last question is this one. We have question 5, is 3 root 200. Okay, so 3 root 200, again you're looking at 3 times what is the biggest square number that goes into 200, and that's 100. So 100 times 2. What we're going to do is we're going to split the surd here. So we're going to write it as 3 times root 100 times root 2. Root 100 is 10. Okay, 10 as in 10 whole number. Make sure you're not putting root there again. That's a careless mistake. So be sure to, when you square root of 100, that's a whole number 10, an integer. Okay, that's root 2. And then what we do is we multiply those two together. So that's going to give us 30. So your final answer is 30 root 10. So this is simplifying surd, and they've asked us to give it in the form of a root b. We've done that for all the questions. Okay, thank you for watching.